In this episode of Pop Culture Weekly, I talk once again with Nell Tiger Free, this time all about her brand new film, The First Omen. And I talk with Eric Yaverbaum, CEO of Erico Communications, about AI and how it can cause crisis, not just in celebrities' lives, but yours and mine. You ready? Let's go!
Welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon from iHeartRadio. Your pop culture news, views, reviews, and celebrity interviews on all the movies, TV, music, and pop culture you crave weekly. Here's Kyle McMahon.
Hello and welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon. I, of course, am Kyle McMahon, and thank you for joining me once again to talk pop culture. So in this episode, I talk once again with Nell Tiger Free. Love her. We talk about her brand new film, The First Omen. And I talk with Eric Yaverbaum, who is CEO of Erico Communications. He is a best-selling author of 7 different books and great guy. Very, very knowledgeable about crisis, PR management, branding, advertising, all of that. And so him and I talked today about some of the dangers of with AI and how fast technology is moving. It's bad enough as, not just you and me, but a public figure, that AI can be used against us, and it's especially true for public figures because there's so much video and photos and info out there already about them. So I talk with Eric about, what is going on and what do we do about it? So without further ado, let's talk with Eric Yaverbaum. So I am here with Eric Yaverbaum, CEO of Erico Communications and best-selling author of 7 different books. Thank you so much for joining me, Eric.
It's my pleasure. I'm a big fan. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So you are an expert in what I'd like to talk to you about today. And, with the rise in AI, with all of the potential bombs that could explode in a public figure's career, especially today, especially with the rise of AI. You are an expert in how to maneuver around that and, what to look for as a public figure and even just as the public. Should all this be a thing anyway? How are you?
I'm doing great. Hopefully nobody will use AI to manipulate what I'm saying today.
Exactly, yeah. Well, first of all, give me a little bit of your background.
I've been running agencies for 40 years in New York City. I ran an agency that was rated as one of the best to work for in the country when I sold it to Wall Street. Worked in on the transition team between Bush and Obama. Spent Obama's first year in the White House when I started the agency that I'm running now. In my spare time, I write books. I've written 7. I'm writing my 8th right now.
Awesome. And all 7 of them have been bestsellers. So your spare time hobby is also a pretty cool gig itself.
You know what I always say to authors, because I encourage everybody to write a book, don't quit your day job.
There you go. So what do you think of the state of everything? I mean, it's hard enough being a public figure just in general. And now you have AI on top of that where, somebody can type in some prompts into their iPhone and, now you have the president saying something that he didn't say or whatever.
Perfect example, considering where we're at in history, because we're literally making it right now with the presidential election coming up. There's no guardrails. I mean, we don't have rules yet. I mean, there's some, but not a lot. We're literally building the plane while we're flying it. And I've done a lot of television interviews recently, and I said if I wanted to, I could take the interview, or they could take the interview, literally manipulate exactly what I said, could spread all over the internet like wildfire in a minute. How do I get that all back in? One of the things I learned as a kid in this industry is the worst time to prepare. Elizabeth Dole said this to me. The worst time to prepare is when the river's rising, and that's where we're at right now with AI at a very precarious time in all of history for us, all of us who are watching anything to know what's real and what's not. I recently watched they showed me a clip of Obama and Trump playing one-on-one basketball. And I watched it. I watched the clip. I knew it wasn't real. I mean, my eyes could see that. Let alone it was unlikely they would be playing one-on-one basketball. And then they showed me a clip that was put together of the same exact video less than a year later. It looked real. That's what happened in less than a year. And the thing about artificial intelligence is the rate at which it's getting better, the velocity of which this technology is improving. We've never seen velocity like this before. It's improving itself every single solitary day.
Wow. So is there a plan in place to, do we need legislation? Is there legislation there? Like, how do we stop this? Is it a governmental problem?
Well, yes, we need legislation. We need guardrails. We need laws. We have none of that. I mean, if you watch the congressional hearings on social media, one of the things that you would have seen is that the people that are asking the questions, they don't understand technology. I think the wrong people are asking the questions. We need a younger demographic policing and monitoring what any of us say on any given day. And again, we're building the plane while we're flying it. There's nothing in place right now. I really hope that there will be before the presidential election, because there's going to be we got enough of an issue with misinformation as it is. If you're a public figure, and we'll take the most recent incident with the royal family. Look at what one picture turns into an incredible conspiracy theory that it's not. Kate Middleton just she altered her hand in the picture, and everybody knows it's a fake picture. I mean, everybody doesn't. You look at that picture, it looked real to me. Mm-hmm. And clearly a mistake to do anything like that, especially when you're involved in the middle of, all sorts of rampant speculation. But, that's the world that we live in now. And, I do hope, I strongly encourage, members of Congress to do something about this, to make sure while we're electing a president of the most powerful country in the world, that we're all getting as the most accurate information we possibly can. And there's two things about, AI, what we read, which is already, what we read and who we can trust, and what we see. Because if, a picture can speak 1,000 words. If a picture can speak 1,000 words, imagine what a video can do. And imagine what a video can do that's been altered by AI that we cannot tell was altered by AI.
Yeah. I am, I'm no Ryan Seacrest or anything, but, I have a sizable audience. And so I've always been cognizant of what I put into texts and that sort of thing. Not that I'm doing anything nefarious, but I'm just worried that, somebody can screenshot that and who knows what they could turn it into. And now, of course, you can go online and make me say something that I never said in the first place. Is there any kind of technology that I know Adobe does something with watermarking, which I don't know enough about how that works, but is there technology that we could use as a standard to say this is generated?
Yeah, watermarking is good. And by the way, there is rules have been put in place by Facebook and by Google in anticipation of all sorts of political advertising where it will be watermarked. But that's just Facebook and Google. There's a whole world out there of information dissemination that doesn't have that rule in place. But yes, watermarking can let me know. It's like, in the good old days, the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. Let me know if it was approved by Good Housekeeping, it must be good. Or Consumer Reports. Again, in the old days. Yeah, watermarking can identify something that's been generated by AI, but we're seeing commercials on television now that are generated by AI. We're seeing all sorts of things spin around the internet that are generated by AI, and it's hard to discern. If it was hard to discern between fact and fiction, it's significantly harder to discern between what am I looking at that is actually legitimately filmed, and what am I looking at that's been altered by AI.
So how does a person, just a regular Joe, if I'm, browsing online, what are some tips that can help me determine I'm looking at, X public figure saying this, or this is something some guy, in a basement in some other country created with, a free tool?
Well, generally speaking, pretty much like everything, if you have the patience to do it, or if you want to do it. If you try to source something in multiple places, you'll be able to tell. When you watch a clip of a news event, as an example, and you search that news event in other ways, and you see it portrayed in two different ways, as a red flag, one of those was changed, and that's the best that you can possibly do. And we're in an era now where if you want accurate information, you're going to need to do that, especially if you're using digital resources to get your information, which the vast majority of people are. And most people aren't reading the newspaper. Most people aren't watching their television in the morning anymore. They're getting all of their information digitally. Social and digital media, that is the information dissemination landscape that we live in now. You've got to check multiple places, and you've got to feel really confident about the places that you check being accurate.
And what about for public figures? How can they do their best? Because there's not going to be a foolproof way. What's the best way to kind of do your best to kind of contain something like this?
The best thing that you can possibly do is be prepared now. What is your plan? What will you do when the video spreads all over the internet about you that's not even anything you ever said or legit whatsoever? What is your plan? Do you have something in place? In the old days, when there was in my youth, I was well known as being a crisis counselor. One of the things about being a crisis counselor, I always tell the story about, I represented, or my agency did a lot of multinational companies. I would get a heads up out of Stockholm, just as an example. Oh, this terrible story just ran in Stockholm. It'll hit the United States by Monday. We could work all week, 48 straight hours, all weekend long to prepare for when it hit the United States. Now we have 1 second. There's no time to prepare. The only time to prepare your plan is in advance.
Wow. And that's when people should be consulting someone like you to have a plan in place, correct?
Yes, everybody should be calling just me. You need to get professionals involved who have experience, and I use experience loosely because we're in the wild, wild west right now. This is really brand new, and the people that have any depth of experience are few and far between. But you want to get somebody to advise you that's had some experience with this literal issue. In the next year, you're going to find a lot of people that have. But it's so important that when you consult with anybody who has experience doing this, that they can show you, here's what happened with XYZ famous person. Here's what we did. Here's what we can do for you. Because it's complicated. It's changing every single solitary day. And experts are few and far between. I mean, the thing about technology is for absolutely everybody, no matter how old you are, the fact that technology is advancing in our lifetimes, every single solitary viewer of this podcast will know, yes, of course, technology has been advancing my entire lifetime. The difference is the velocity and the rate at which it's changing, and it's faster and faster and faster and faster. It's breathless to keep up with.
Yeah, it's terrifying. And, as I think about it, I think of even not just public figures, but, custody battles and jaded lovers and all, there's all kinds of ways that this could affect everybody and anybody.
Well, I mean, I grew up I was on real TV for most of my career. I was in real newspapers for most of my career. Being a guy who was on television, anybody can have their own Facebook channel now, just as one example. Yes, every single solitary one of us should be thinking about that. I mean, from pedestrians to corporate America and everything in between.
If I want to, a listener or viewer wants to start with one of your books, what's the one you would say start with this one first?
None of them. Don't read any of them. They're all out of date the second I write them. I mean, this is the same thing. This is the issue with, expertise and who do you trust? I mean, people, I don't know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, they came to me because I was a quote unquote social media expert. And they wanted to pay my agency to give them social media advice. And what I would tell people, and I talked about this on television all the time, is any advice that I can give you will be out of date by the time I finish my sentence. That was then. What about now? What you will see is a lot of new resources coming out. And then the question becomes, as I did a book once, it was called Digital at Speed. I couldn't write it fast enough. It was out of date. I was writing.
Literally.
AI is going to significantly make that more challenging. People who play in the AI space and play and work in the AI space are the people that you're going to want to go to. The resources, like by the time this particular podcast airs, whatever I tell you about the best place to go will be out of date. You need to look for very, very current and relevant examples of how people have successfully dealt with AI issues. That's who you want to go to. And that's the type of thing that you should check out. Literally, unfortunately, and this is coming from a guy who's written it. I'm writing my 8th book. I've been in this business forever. You can Google me. You'll find a million things about me. I'm telling you, don't come to me. Don't read any of my books. The day that you have a problem, find somebody who knows what they're talking about and has really relevant experience that's current.
Awesome. Eric, thank you so much for speaking with me. I look forward to talking to you again as this progresses. I think, as you said, in a day, it'll be a whole nother thing. But in a year, I'm curious where we'll be, and hopefully there'll be some regulations around it.
But we'll be a year from now, me and you won't even have to talk to each other. Right. We could just do a podcast without speaking. Who knows?
Exactly.
But yes, this is going to be changing rapidly, and it's certainly worth keeping your eye on.
Awesome. Eric, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Honored to be on your show. I'm a big fan.
Thank you. Eric Yaverbaum. Hit up Eric's website, Eric, YAVERBAUM.com, ericyaverbaum.com, and you can get all the goods from Eric. He's a great guy and a brilliant mind. And by the way, he literally wrote the book, Public Relations for Dummies. Literally. All right. Thanks, Eric. So we're going to take a quick break, pay the bills from our amazing advertisers, and we'll be back with Nell Tiger Free talking the First Omen. See you in 60. All right. Welcome back to Pop Culture Weekly. Thanks for hanging out with us and supporting our advertisers who, of course, support Pop Culture Weekly and me bringing you awesome content with awesome talent. So next up is Nell Tiger Free, who is such an immensely talented actor. I love her so much. I've talked to her. I believe this is like the 9th time. We'll have to get the exact numbers, but I believe this will be her 9th time on the show, making her the #1 most frequented guest on Pop Culture Weekly because, we did 4 seasons of Servant and I interviewed them every season for that. And then the premieres and then the on-site interviews and all of that. So yeah, that's really exciting. I love Nell and I love that she is #1. This time, she is starring in The First Omen, which if you didn't see my review, you can go to popcultureweekly.com and check it out, or podcast.popcultureweekly.com and check it out. And I love this film. Obviously, The Omen is a classic, iconic horror movie. Came out in 1976 and is beloved by horror buffs everywhere. And it's a classic film. It really is. Supernatural horror film that was directed by Richard Donner and released by 20th Century Fox. The original Omen actually received mixed reviews from critics, but it was a huge commercial success, and it grossed like $70 million or something at the box office, $62 million at the U.S. box office alone, becoming one of the highest grossing films of the year. And of course, that's like huge numbers in today dollars. And it ended up getting actually 2 Oscar noms and 1 for Best Original Score. It also, of course, spawned a whole franchise with Damien, Omen 2, which was released in 1978. Then Omen 3, The Final Conflict in 1981. Omen 4, The Awakening in 1991. And then a remake of the original Omen was released in 2006. And by the way, if you go to podcast.popcultureweekly.com, you can get a full guide to all the Omen films in the franchise and, links to buy them and just get caught up before you watch the new one. And now, the sixth film, right? Yeah, the sixth film, The First Omen, is out. And it is so good. It is a prequel. And obviously, as I said, it stars Nell Tiger Free, who I love. And Nell stars as Margaret Dano, who is an American that is sent to Rome to work at an orphanage as she prepares to take the veil to officially become a nun. Father Brennan is also featured in the film. He's played by Ralph Ineson in this one, who is a priest who warns Margaret of a conspiracy that he believes is going on within the church. It is so good. It is like, it's very moody in its cinematography. The scares are really great. It's like not just jump scares, but kind of that creepy feeling, you know what I mean? The soundtrack is absolutely wildly incredible. The sound design is incredible. And I really love how it's layered. Like there's so many threads going on it's just wonderfully written. It's moody and atmospheric. There's so many twists and turns. Nell is absolutely phenomenal. And it leads right into the original Omen. So let's jump right into my interview with the amazing Nell Tiger Free. So first of all, once again, Nell, thank you for joining me on iHeart. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
So this time we are talking about The First Omen, which I saw a screener of and I am obsessed with. It is,
really?
Yes, I love it so much. It's so good. It's moody and it's atmospheric and it's like world building. You are amazing. It's like edge of your seat and it's horror and it's just all the things and I love it. I really do love it.
Thank you so much. That's all Arkasha Stevenson.
Yes. So tell me about, you are obviously the star of The First Omen. Why did this project speak to you?
I mean, I'm a very big horror fan. I saw the original Omen when I was around 11. So, discovering what the character's journey is and who she becomes in the story of the Omen, it just felt like the most exciting thing in the world to me, to be honest. And when I read the script, I felt like almost a sense of relief because I was like, this is before I was attached, and I read it and I was like, look, even just coming as a fan, I love what they've done with the movie. And even if I'm not a part of it, I hope I am. Like, I didn't know yet. Even if I'm not a part of it, like it's something I'd really want to watch. So I was very happy when I got the phone call.
Yeah. And then going and, actually filming and going into production, it's a big franchise. It's the Omen, the original The Omen, is such a iconic horror film beloved by so many, not just horror fans, but film fans, because it's, such a big movie. Once you finally got to set, were you like, oh, wow, this, like, I'm in The First Omen?
Yes, truly, yes. We actually hit the ground running quite intensely. We the first scene that we shot for the Omen, which I just call scene 117 because that's how I remember in my head. Is the scene where I'm in, without giving a spoiler, Brennan's apartment, and that whole sequence. It took us like 3 days to get the whole sequence, which was also my audition scene, which was a big one. So like we started with a very emotionally taxing piece. And it was a great way to do it. It was like a massive icebreaker between the cast and the crew and everyone. It just felt like, a baptism of fire, if you will, at the beginning. And I wasn't used to so many cameras at once, and I was getting used to just everyone around us. And it just, there was definitely a moment where there was like 4 cameras on me at once. And I was like, oh, this is serious stuff.
Yeah. You had mentioned that you had seen The Omen originally when you were 11.
Yeah.
Did you feel like, for me, especially as you being a horror fan, same with me, I feel like, now you're a part of that legacy. You're a part of that franchise, and it's such an excellent, chapter into the series. Were you also like kind of fangirling at like, I am now a part of a film franchise that I've loved since I was 11?
Oh my God, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think at any point 11-year-old Nell, whilst watching this film, thought that one day, I would be a part of it. It's just like not even like a concept I would have been able to grasp at the time. Yeah, when I knew I was going to do this movie and knew who my character was and what it was going to be, I just kind of like, I keep saying I just geeked out. It's like the best way I could describe it. It's like, it's such a strange thing to wrap your head around when it's something, a piece, like such an iconic film from so long ago, where it feels so removed from you as like something that you can like revere and admire and look up to, and then being able to become a part of it was genuinely, it was a real like pinch me moment, especially doing it under with Akasha. I mean, it was just kind of like, this is the dream.
Yeah. Yeah. As a horror buff and as as a film buff, for me, I cannot wait for everybody to see it because it's so good. And it's, such a great entry, not into the franchise, but into horror in general. And I love the world building that was done. Yeah. I felt, that's one of the reasons that I love Servant so much, is one of my favorite series ever, is because Night did such an amazing job with this world building where I felt like I lived down the street from the brownstone in Philly. This is similarly, it's well thought out. I felt immediately with the opening scene like I'm here and I'm in it. I'm trying to be as spoiler free as possible. But I really did. And for you as an actor, obviously you're doing tons of cuts and scenes, and you're going out of order often and that sort of thing. But do you still get to feel that like, wow, I'm in this world that's been created? Or as an actor, are you like kind of, because it's so cut up and stuff in production, does that take you out of that?
No, actually, that's a really good question. It was such an immersive experience making this movie. We were in Rome, and the longer we spent in Rome with like the content that we were making, the more it kind of like induces this paranoia, because there's statues and so much religious iconography, and it felt like they were watching us for a while, and like, it kind of induced this a little bit of this like paranoid state in everybody, because we'd been living with it for so long. And like 99% of what you see us doing, we're on location, we're actually there, we're doing those things. And if it was very rare that we were on a sound stage, but even if we were, Akasha made sure that the atmosphere felt exactly like it should be in the scene. So like, there's in the ending, we're in these catacombs for like, we shot it over like 6 or 7 days. And we're in this room where, it was a giant dome, so you couldn't hear your own voice because of the echoes, and there was fire, and it felt like it translated the way that you saw it. That's how it felt, and it always felt that way. There's a particular scene where I come out of the car, and there's something happens I don't want to say, but that was shot at 4 a.m, and we were all running on empty, and everything just lent itself to make it feel like we were living this thing. And it's a really helpful thing performance-wise as well, when you feel like it's almost inescapable in the best way possible.
That's awesome. And it comes across that way, as a viewer. I mean, I love that you're saying that, because it feels like it, I wondered how much was the movie magic, but you're saying that, it was there for you too. And I love to hear that.
Yeah. Everything was tactile, even all of the special effects, that all of it, none of it CGI. It's like pretty much 100%. It's all happening. It's all there.
Which is awesome. And something a lot, especially as a horror buff, not something that is always done today. A lot of CGI is done a lot in horror, and very much so with the effects. The practical effects reminded me of those like real, kind of gritty 70s, 80s practical effects films, which was also a treat as a horror buff,
Totally, yeah. It was an ode to that as well. I think it was trying to totally keep with the original in the 70s, where they didn't have access to the same sort of technology that we have now, and everything had to be practical. But with this film, I think it was important that there was an element of nostalgia without it feeling like, like anything was borrowed too heavily, or Akasha was great at that and that was all Akasha's bag. But like, yeah, having these physical, practical effects, I think it keeps tonally with the original Omen. And it's just kind of like an ode to that.
Yeah. Yeah. For you, as you're doing the First Omen, as you're reading it, the script, for me, very much so, it's a edge of your seat, like I'm all in immediately, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Do you get that same, does some of that get lost as you go through? Like, I'm assuming the shoot was at least a few months. Did you say 7 months or something?
We were there for around
4.5 months. So do you lose that as it goes on, or are you able to be, as an actor, like stay all in? Because I imagine some days you're like, I don't want to be in this like dark place today. Or are you able to pull it and be like, all right, Nell, you know what I mean? Let's just dive all in. Or how do you handle that mentally, especially with something that's kind of dark,
Yeah, it was really dark content. I think the way that you handle that is just like keeping some levity in your personal life. Like even just, something I lent on to give me some sort of separation is that, like, Margaret has a different accent than I do, and things like that, where you can kind of switch back to yourself and like shed the skin a little bit. Luckily for me, I find that pretty easy thing to do, is to separate the character from myself. I think I'm whatever the opposite of a method actor is. Just kind of just let it go and let it live there, and then come and put the skin back on the next day. Yeah, and the content was really dark, but the energy was lovely, and like the environment was lovely. The people, we all lent on each other so much. Like I cannot even explain to you the love and the relationship I had with Akasha. It was like we bonded because we made this crazy thing together, and like Kasha says, we took a lot of big swings, and there were lots of moments where I was like, okay, this is either going to be really good or really bad. Let's hope. Let's hope for the best, and hopefully it's the former, but I'll let people decide. And yeah, it never felt too strenuous for me, because I always really believed in what we were doing, so I wanted to go there and go to those places in my head. Yeah.
I love that. And like I said, it comes across that way. I was always kind of curious, even with like Servant, where you're dealing with heavy material. So it's cool to know, that you're able to, when you wrap for the day, like, okay, I'm Nell and I'm going to text my friends, or you know what I mean, whatever.
I'm gonna go for a drink with the nun that was in the corner of my room attacking me. Like, that's just kind of the thing, like, it's kind of the thing. Like Ishtar, who has a very specific and terrifying role in the movie, is like one of my closest friends. It's just like you separate character from person, and you all go get a drink afterwards. Talk about how wonderfully weird your job is. Such weird jobs.
and you get paid for it, which is awesome. It's like the dream,
Exactly.
to get paid to love to get paid to do what you love is always so incredible.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying like the concept at the moment of being paid to just terrify people. That is such a satisfying feeling.
Are you, I would think you're a scream queen now, right?
I don't know. I don't know if I've yet earned that title. I might have to get a few more under my belt. But it's something I'm working towards, for sure.
Okay. All right. And are you like you're totally going to be doing more horror film?
I hope so. I mean, I'm happy to try anything. Horror seems to be the place where I feel most comfy at the moment. I think it would be more challenging for me to do like a rom-com or something. I'd be like, I mean, no one's getting decapitated today. Or, I think that'd be quite a polarizing thing, to be happy and smiling all the time. But, never say never. I'm just interested to see. To be honest, I don't know what I'm doing next at all. I'm like consumed in the Omen verse at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, you're a scream queen already. I mean, you did such a great job with Margaret. And speaking of, you were talking about accents. I probably sounded like a crazy person as I was leaving the screening room, but you were at one point, you're like, hello, and I'm going to butcher it and embarrass myself, but
Oh my God, please give it a go.
You're like, you were like, hello, gorgeous, or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Gorgeous.
Yeah. Hello, gorgeous.
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah. That was pretty good.
Thanks. Do you, when you're doing accents, do you find it hard to turn off? Like, and this kind of goes with what you were saying with the character at the end of the rap or the end of the day, but I feel like when you are, doing a character that is not in your native accent, is it hard to kind of turn that part off too? Because I feel like that's more like a thing that, you're doing it for so many hours a day, specific thing, or is that just kind of like the rest of it for you?
It's just kind of like the rest of it, to be honest. Accent's kind of a helpful tool because it lets you just immediately slip back into a character. It just gives you such separation between you and them. And to be honest, I haven't done an English accent on screen for, I think, 7 years now.
Wow.
So I'm just used to, I feel like acting Nell is American Nell. Nell is just kind of hoping for the best and plods along next to her. That's kind of how I feel. American Nell has all of that, has all this, all the good stuff, and Nell's just in a constant state of panic. I don't even know what I sound like anymore, to be honest. I'm not even sure if this is my real accent. Genuinely.
It's so funny. Do you, and I'm trying to be as spoiler free as possible, is there room for more entries in the Omen universe?
The Omen universe. I hope so. I think, there's so many new characters in this film that we introduce, and, any films following could follow any of their trajectories and go to anybody's perspective. So I think that there's definitely room. It's open for it. We'll see how this one goes.
I don't think there's going to be a problem at all. This is I'm like, is screaming from the rooftops about the First Omen. It is coming out this week or today or whenever, depending on when you're watching it or listening. But Nell, thank you so much for speaking with me once again. I actually think this makes you the guest that I've had on the most now, because there was like 4 seasons of Servant, plus we did the red carpets and all that. So it was like 8 different times with Servant. And now this would be 9. Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh. That is an absolute honor. And I hope to keep that honor. And so I'll come on as many times as you'll have me.
Of course.
My title.
Thank you. It's yours. Thank you so much, Nell. Congrats on the film. I can't wait for everybody to see the First Omen.
So lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Nell Tiger Free. Love her. She's such a delight. She is so talented, and she's so much fun, too. I got to hang out with her at the rap party the premiere party for the final season of Servant. She is so much fun. She's so down to earth, such a ball. She's hilarious and so talented, and I am loving that she keeps on just shooting up higher and higher and higher in the entertainment business. It's well deserved. Such a great person. All right. So you can get my full review on popcultureweekly.com of The First Omen, or I guess that sound dyslexic there. You can get my full review of The First Omen up on popcultureweekly.com. And like I said, check out the guide to the Omen franchise on podcast.popcultureweekly.com, and you get yourself all caught up if you want before you go and see The First Omen. It is so good. I want to know what you think about The First Omen and what you think about this episode. Hit me up on socials. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and TikTok and everywhere else. Hit me up and let me know what you think. It's either at KMac Music or Kyle McMahon or Pop Culture Weekly. One of them, you'll hit me. Somehow you guys find a way to send me hate mail. Send me some love mail too, and maybe I'll just feature your hot take on the show. All right, I'll see you next week. I love you. We out.
Thank you for listening to Pop Culture Weekly. Hear all the latest at popcultureweekly.com.
Damien, you are going to